All right, good afternoon, everyone, and happy Tuesday. It is 4:30, so we'll go ahead and get started. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I know some of us are out on a snow day today. Here in Hampton Roads, it's just very drizzly and cold. So it seems like that's pretty much the case all over the state. So again, thank you for joining us this afternoon and welcome to our webinar on exploring AI in education. Whether you're taking your first steps into AI or looking for innovative ideas to enhance what you're already doing, this is going to be a great session for you. And we're joined by two eMediaVA ambassadors who are wonderful and so great with tech and AI. And I'm really excited to hear a little bit more from them about their tips and tricks for using AI in the world of education. So again, if you have any questions as we're going through, please let us know and drop them in the chat. So just a few housekeeping things before we get started. So there is a QR code with a link to the slide deck on the last slide of the presentation, and I will also send out a link to the recording and the slide deck. So feel free to follow along with us, and don't feel like you have to take too many notes because everything's linked for you and will be shared. I will be sending out certificates of attendance to you this week. As I just mentioned, we love questions. Please feel free to ask them throughout our 30 minutes together today and do so using the chat feature. And you might have seen when you registered for this that we have a few other upcoming winter webinars. So we would love if you joined us in the next few weeks as well for some of the other topics that are coming up. So to just introduce ourselves, my name is Lindsay Horner, and I am the manager of eMediaVA, and I work at WHRO Public Media, which is the NPR PBS affiliate in Hampton Roads in Norfolk, Virginia. And before this, I was a high school social studies teacher in Newport News. So I am joined by Pat and Kristen, and I will let them quickly introduce themselves as well. So Pat, if you want to go first.
I am Patrick Hausman. I'm with Clark County Public Schools. I get to wear a few hats there, but I am supervisor of instructional technology and ITRT for two of our buildings, and I get the awesome privilege to be the leader of our new teacher program too. Happy to be with you guys today.
Thank you. And Kristen?
Hi, I'm Kristen Strickland. I am a technology integration specialist in Chesapeake, which is our ITRTs. I work with the middle school, Deep Creek Middle School, and I'm so happy to be here today.
Great. And you'll mostly be hearing from them. So I did want to mention, we're not going to talk about eMediaVA, but Patrick and Kristen both work with me as eMediaVA ambassador. So we could say that this webinar is somewhat sponsored by eMediaVA, but just in case you're wondering what the connection is there. And that's a program that is ongoing, and we're always looking for new people to join us every year. So it's really fun. Your turn. We would love to hear where you're joining us from and what grade level you teach. It's helpful for us as we go through and talk about different examples. And we'll be using the chat for this today. So we would love to know where you're joining from. And we have a question here that we would also love for you to answer in the chat, where if you could have any AI-powered assistant in the classroom, what specific task or responsibility would you want it to handle? So again, we'd love to know where you're joining us from, what grade level you work with, and if you could have AI take care of anything in the classroom for you, what would that be and why? Okay, great. So Norfolk, Winchester. Okay, so we're from all over, which is wonderful. Kristen says that she would have AI grade and give feedback. That would be amazing. Sheila says align assignments and rubrics with standards. Yes. Oh, that's wonderful. Using their native language to text into English. Yes, AI can be really helpful for special education. Patrick says it'd just be my all-time assistant taking notes, scheduling. Yes. So thank you. And again, if you have any other thoughts, please drop them in the chat. We love to hear from you and where you're joining from. So before I turn it over to my colleagues, just some big concepts for today, what we're going to do with our time together. We will define artificial intelligence or AI and talk about its relevance to K-12 education. We will also discuss 10 quick ways that you can start incorporating AI into your instruction. And then, of course, we will explore some of our favorite AI tools for educators that you can start using right away. So a lot that we're going to cover in our time together today. But again, I'm very excited to jump into this topic. So I'm going to hand it over to Pat, and he's going to share his screen and talk to us a little bit more about AI.
All right, are we sharing my screen okay? Everybody seeing it? Awesome. I see thumbs up. I'll take it. It jumped my Zoom toolbar to my other screen, which I wasn't expecting. So keep on top of it. Make sure I open the chat because I do want to make sure you guys can ask questions as we go through. We know we're seeing it, so we're good there. One only thing I'll point out here, because you had the intro, you know where I'm coming from, you know what I do. If you remember PHAS.edu, you can get to the website, get resources and things there. I'm still active on X or Twitter, whichever one you're going with right now. And then Hausman P is my Clark County email address. So any of those ways are going to have ways to contact me. So if you have questions afterwards, please feel free to reach out. This is going to go fairly quickly, but we do, again, we want it to be interactive. So please throw any questions you have in the chat as we go through. And if you see me looking down, my second monitor is actually above my other one. So I'm looking down to make sure I check the chat and don't miss anything as we go. But one of the first things, because we do have some people, and I guess I should ask this, number one, what is your experience with AI? And we'll just do a quick scale of I have heard of it, but I've never touched it, never done anything is a 1. And then we'll say a 5 is I use it all the time. I'm just hoping I pick up something new. So if you could just throw in the chat, again, a 1 is brand new. 5 is I'm a master. I wish I was teaching this. Okay. So we do have a few 5s. Okay. So I'll be curious if you pick anything up as we go through, or maybe even some tools that you haven't used before. But it looks like the majority is a 1. Okay, so we are going to start towards that end of the spectrum just to make sure we're doing a nice level set. And in a nutshell, I think Matt Miller at Ditch That Textbook does one of the best jobs of giving a really short definition of what AI is. And that nutshell definition is what you see on your screen. And it is AI refers to when a computer or machine processes info and acts in a similar way to how humans would. It can't think automatically. We're not to the land of Terminator. It hasn't happened yet. It's hopefully very far off if it occurs. But right now, it can think how we do, but it is built by us. It's prompted by us. It really only does things when it's asked to or programmed to. Couple websites are linked on here in case you need to dive a little deeper and you want some good definitions, some resources for your teachers. When you get to the slides, this AI EDU is a link that will jump you to this website that is going to give you, as it says, AI in 5 minutes. As you scroll down, it's going to give you great definitions. It's going to give you some ways people are using it. How does it learn? What are some different types? All the way down through, again, some different examples, things you can do with it. And I bring up this AI EDU site for a number of reasons. Number one, it's a great resource to get an idea of what it is, but it also starts to dive into some of the bias, some of the things we'll touch on at the very end. But if you look across the top tabs here, you have a ton of other resources to learn more about it. But also on the flip side, something we really want to keep in mind, this site has great resources for teaching students as well. And you can snag some of those here where it says AI snapshots. It's over 100. I think it's inching towards 200 different prompts and pieces of info to help teach students. And you can see there's toolkits for teaching about AI, ways that you can use it, tons of different things. The other link on there is from one of our favorite websites in education. If you've done coding, computer science, anything, most of us are going to know code.org. They have a number of great AI resources, and the link in a slide deck should jump you down to this piece of the page where they have a series of videos that are all fairly short, but well done, that teach you everything from how a chatbot works. And a chatbot is going to be those AIs like ChatGPT, Bard, things like that. And in a lot of companies that have developed other things like Magic School AI, for instance, they call their chatbot Reina. So a lot of them have those components, but a lot of them are built off that ChatGPT framework and what they've built out. But it walks you through all of those different pieces. So if you want to dive deep, it has those, but you can also just snag a video or two and really get a good idea of what AI is. But for us here, what I wanted to point it out for is on this next slide, and it is those 3 bullet points on the left-hand side. AI in a nutshell for me makes massive amounts of data really easy to use. You can have a conversation with it, and that's that natural language model of just being able to have a conversation. You can prompt it. You don't have to be an all-star at prompting. It helps if you're pretty good at it and you practice. But if you just build on it, continue to ask questions, you're going to be able to get really good things back out of that AI in a fraction of the time. It can be, as I said, I would want it to be. If you are able to and be able to master it fairly well, it can be that extra set of hands that all of us have always wanted in education. It can't quite teach it for you yet, but I would give it a little time and give some of the apps to progress a little bit on the student side, and I bet it can actually lead some centers and do some really good things with you, or for you, I should say. And in a nutshell, the one that I bolded and the reason why I've been sharing it with teachers, bringing it up to our teachers, pushing for an administration to be okay with us sharing bits and pieces, is the fact that it can save time. As I work with educators and all the different levels and pieces of my job, the biggest thing that I look for is ways that I can give them some time back. I normally can't take meetings away. I can't make those evil data meetings and things disappear. I can't make it so they don't have to spend part of their duty by the bathroom because TikTok came out with a new challenge. But I can show them some of these tools that really help them out. And something that I really thought was powerful, this data just came out not too far back from Yahoo News, as it shows there at the bottom. But if you think about things, I was listening to Ditch Summit not too long ago, and one of the presenters, Julie Smith, said it took years for millions of people to use things like TV, to use the phone. If you look at this graph, it took 2 months for ChatGPT to get 100 million users. And that's why AI and the impact it's had on education, I think, has been faster than just about any piece of technology that has hit because of the fact that it's going so fast. And I don't think that's necessarily a negative. I think we need some guardrails, we need some good policies and things like that. But I also think in my time in education that things have moved far too slow. So I really think AI can give you a lot of those positives, but you need to be cautious as you use it. And something that I've been really hitting home is that just like the calculator, the phones, the ear pods that we see in ears that are trying to be covered by the hoodies and hair and things like that, I truly don't think that any student, as it says here, no student will ever know a world without AI tools to assist them. The new versions of phones, the new iPhones, the new Pixel phone, all of those things are going to have AI tools and things built in. They've been using spell check and things like that. If you're old school in this, and I know I saw Karen in here, I saw Rod, a few others I recognize, you're going to remember Clippy from old school Microsoft. All those things were AI and it's just getting better and better. Some of us use Grammarly to help us out. But in the world of education, some of those things can help. Obviously, spell check has saved a lot. Autocorrect has probably caused some trouble once or twice. But here are 10 uses, and I'm going to let Kristen get into some tools and really show you some of the magic behind these links. But when you get the slide deck, each one of these things is linked in, and I won't read down through all of them, but these are, as I've presented, as I've talked to educators, these are a ton of the different ways, or as it says here, the top 10, and you can see I cheated, as I usually do, and put a couple on a line, but things from brainstorming, lesson planning, project outlines, rubrics, all of these different things, even down through and including differentiation and helping you plan for some wellness, things like that. All of these things can be done by AI, and usually with good prompts and conversations, these things can be done in AI within a few seconds or a very small amount of minutes. You can tweak it and you can be off running with it. And again, I know that was pretty quick, but hopefully you got an idea of what it is. Here's some ideas of how you can use it. And then I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Kristen so she can show you some of the tools that make it even easier than doing prompts and things like that. they can do some of that magic for you.
All right, can I get a thumbs up, guys? Can you see my screen? Awesome. Hi, guys. I'm Kristen Strickland, as we talked about before, and I'm a technology integration specialist at Chesapeake with Deep Creek Middle School. That's just what we call ITRTs. I am going to be quick today in the sense of that I have about 6 tools that are really worthwhile, and what I'm trying to do today is showcase them. Every single tool I'm going to show you today will have YouTube videos after YouTube videos that will be able to help you to really get a good sense. But I wanted you to see the sites first to decide on where you want to start first. And of course, we're going to start with the granddaddy of all, which is ChatGPT. And I'm so glad that I saw some people that said they were ones, because this is a great place. I feel like it's one of the safer places to get started because it's looks like old school instant messaging. If you ever did AIM, I know I was that person. And so if you talk to the computer and it talked back to you, this is very similar, except for now ChatGPT can create for you. So all of the slides will look the same, and I will be looking at my screen, which is over here. So if you see me looking in this direction, it's because that's for my big screen is that I have set up for you guys. But it appears like instant messaging, so you can offer it prompts. And it will give you only a text-based reply. So it's not going to give you websites. It's not going to give you a picture. It will give you just text, but it will create for you. And we're going to show you what that looks like in a second. I use it often to lesson plan, to create outlines. You can create quiz questions. I use it sometimes to generate recipes. I've used it on multiple occasions to give me an itinerary for a trip, create stories. There's so many different things it can do because it's creating for you. And so the more specific you are with your query with ChatGPT, the more it's going to be able to do. And so I'm going to show you real quick that looks like. You will log in, and when you log in, you will be greeted either with a blank chat, which is down here at the bottom. So you can get started, or you'll also be greeted with these are all my chats from recently. So I'm going to show you a couple of the chats that I've started with ChatGPT, and notice how they save over time. Patrick had a great time of showing us 10 different ways that you can use any type of AI powered software. But you know what? You can ask ChatGPT that too, and it will give it to you. And it does a really good job. It's really pretty. And then for me, you might also want to ask it to ask you questions. So I asked here, and notice how I'm not using correct grammar. I'm not using capitalization. I'm an English teacher, a former English teacher, and I'm not using it because I'm saving time and I'm just putting it out there. So as you can see, I said, write a 15-question quiz on the phases of the moon, make some of the questions true and false, and some of them multiple choice. And it did. I have 5 true false questions here. I have 10 multiple choice questions. And the next thing I said is, can you keep these questions but add in some humor? And so it did add in some humor right here. So that is one of the ways you can use it. One of my favorite ways to use it is writing letters. If you are struggling, maybe you have a difficult email you're about to write, try looking at GPT first, and having it create it for you. So I said, write a 100-word letter to a parent whose child has been a bit talkative in class. Make a positive tone. Please reassure the parent. Notice it's not even spelled right. I'm being as quick as possible. It notices it. That otherwise the student is well behaved, and that if they want to have a meeting, we can, but a simple talk will be fine. And the tone is perfect. I hope this letter finds you well. I wanted to take a moment to share some positive feedback about your child. They're a joy to have in class. It's positive. Recently, they've been chatty. It's probably because of excitement. Really well done. So I really thought this would be a great thing to get started if you've never started with AI, but I still use it every day, and I've done other AI things. I love it so much. I use it so often. The next one we're going to talk about is Conquer. Conquer is a AI-powered quiz maker. It's very simple. It's another thing that if you've never used an AI-powered software, that you can start with this. It helps create quizzes. And I'm going to start using the phases of the moon and how they affect your the tides, or actually how the moon affects tides, to be able to explain to you how to use this. So I have up here, and I want you to notice, you might notice my tabs up here that I have 2. And because AI is creating, it does take some time. So I've already put in the prompts, and they also show you the results, so we don't have to wait, because it does take a little time for AI to come out. So we'd be waiting all the way through our meeting today for AI to populate things for you. So I try to show you both sides so that we don't have to wait for AI. So what I asked Conquer is, how does the moon affect tides? And this is the result. I asked it for 5 questions. I said, give me mixed questions. And you can see I have a multiple choice question. I have another multiple choice question. I have a multi-response question. I have a drag and drop question. And I have another multi-response. And if I look at them, if I like them, please check to make sure they are correct. AI is not perfect. I noticed I did a quiz on the landlady with this, and I did a landlady with this, and I had some questions that were wrong, so I would have to take those out, but they give you the opportunity to edit that. But when you want to share it, you could import it into your Google Forms. Our school district does not allow that right now, but that's okay. I could also print it. I could also share it by QR code. I could embed it as well. And I saw someone said, are these free? I tried my best to find, and Patrick's right, I tried my best to find free tools, and tools that, if they aren't free, have longer trial periods, because AI is becoming so popular. There's a lot of educational AI behind paywalls now. And so their trial periods are kind of short. And I want you to be able to have a good way of like getting your feet wet before you decide, hey, you want to pay for something, because I know that, we're all teachers, and we just don't have that money sometimes. So the next one I want to talk to you about is Canva. Canva has a AI feature in it. If you are a Canva queen like I am, I use it for all types of things. I do my school Instagram account. I use our school website. I also use it to make presentations for my teachers and for my students. Canva is really just a design software that you can use that's very quick and easy to make things look very nice. They have a design feature in there where we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about Magic Morph, and we're going to talk about text to image. But before I talk to you about that real quick, I also want to share with you the fact that you can get your verified teacher account with Canva if you've never used that before. And all that does is give you pretty much a pro account for free. Canva believes that all teachers should have all of the necessary tools to make the best visually appealing workspace for their students. So you will get it's practically a pro account for free. And this is the directions on how to sign up for that if you have a teacher account through your school or teacher email. So I'm going to show you real quick. I have a presentation. Let's go back to that idea that I'm going to do how the moon affects the tides. So if you're going to integrate AI into Canva, you are going to want to go to apps and download these 2 tools, Magic Media and Magic Morph. Magic Media will create any image that you want as long as you give it the prompt. And you give it the correct, whatever you want to put in it. And I'll show you that in a second. And then Magic Morph will turn any shape or letter into something fun. And so I'll show you how that works first. So as we can see this picture here, there's the moon, the ocean. We have some students studying. And this is what I asked it. And notice it gave me 4 options, and I chose this one. Again, I'm just typing quick. I don't have to use, I always encourage you when you're talking to your coworkers to always use correct spelling and punctuation and capitalization, but you know what? AI doesn't care. So I said, several students on a beach with the waves rolling and the moon shining high in the sky. Have some students have a book, have some students have laptops. Include students of different ethnicities because we want to show diversity. Make them all about 14 years old and make it look like they're studying the ocean. And this is what I got back, these 4 images, because I chose it to do a dreamy style. I could have asked it to do an anime style, a photo. There's a couple other that are back here. And this is what I chose. I had my husband the other day asked if Canva could create a comic book for him on Paul Revere. And I said, yeah, just start plugging in man that's in colonial wear on a horse running through colonial streets. And it totally did. And there's actually a great way for you to show that. So, and it always gives you 4 options. If you don't like it, generate it again. So I just want to show you what Magic Morph is. So I had this rectangle right here, this rectangle, and I wanted it to be changed into something pretty, right? So I said, morph this into a window. So here's a window. that looks out into the stars, make the night sky dark and the stars very bright. And this is what it came up with. So it morphed this rectangle into this right here. And I just plugged it in. So just a fun thing to use. And it's a way for you, instead of having to search an image, you can create it and it's ready for you, I think quicker in a sense. So that's Canva. The next one I'll talk about is Diffit. And Diffit is, they talk about differentiation. You can choose a topic, and you can make that topic be 5th grade for maybe your students that might, if you teach middle school, let's say for me, I might make it something 5th grade. I might make something that's 9th grade. And I can use this, I can change keep the same topic, but get different prompts, get different articles, get different questions so that I can vary my classroom. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. They talk about it being the just right resource. So when you go to Diffit, you are going to be met with this search engine looking site. It's not a search engine, it creates for you. So you can ask it to create the lesson. You can pull up an article or video you already like, and you can actually plug that in there. Or you can actually use a text that you already have. So what I asked it, so I'm going to show you again, it takes a while. And this is where you would differentiate it. So if you had the same topic, let's say moon affects the tides, this is where you would go, I want to run this 5th grade. I want to run it again for 8th grade. And you'd have 2 separate lessons, but they would be very similar as well. So I chose 8th grade, and this was my prompt. It's not pretty. You know, it's okay because I can edit it if I want to. But my prompt was an article based on how the moon affects the tides with harder vocabulary. Notice it's not even spelled correctly. It's okay. It knows exactly what we're looking for. It's okay because we are playing around with the machine. And it gave me a reading passage, which I can edit. It gave me a summary. It gave me key vocabulary words. It gave me multiple choice, and I can add more. I want to have it add more to this lesson. I can have more short questions answered. I can have more open-ended prompts. So what happens here is if I have nothing on this topic, maybe it's a new SOL, maybe you're a new teacher, all of a sudden you now have a backbone for a lesson that you can start jumping off with. And you have some questions that you can ask your students, and you can also go back and change the level to being 5th grade and see what it puts out. You can also get some student activities based upon what they created, and you can download it into your, if you're doing Google, for us, for Google, download it into your Google Drive. So just a great way that you can find different levels of tool. The next one I'm going to show you looks similar, but it's really for English teachers. But guess what? I say all teachers are English teachers. When you are teaching reading comprehension, you are teaching English. So you are going to love this. This is called TWE. TWE is geared to English teachers, but I think you all will love it as well. Let me get a little sip of water. So if you incorporate reading in classroom, you'll love this. So TWE, if you found, let's say, a YouTube video, it will find summaries for you, or make summaries, choose the right summaries. You just plug in that YouTube video. It'll come up with discussion questions for you. It'll do audio. But this is what I really love about TWE. You can start from scratch. So let's take that same concept, the concept of how the moon affects the tides. I asked it very simply. Let me go to the top up here. This is all one lesson, by the way. I kept just adding. How does the moon affect the tides? I want it to be a newspaper article. I want it to be at 350 to 500 words, and I want it to be at their highest level. And then this is what they gave me on the right. And I can start building. It kind of looks like coding, doesn't it? Block coding. I can start building on this. And I can also change it if I wanted to. So the next thing I asked was from ABCD questions. I just clicked this, and it's going to, I'll show how quick it is. I want them to be a little harder. I have some ABCD questions based upon that, and based upon that passage that they wrote. I can continue building. I can say, can we add some true false questions now? And let's make them intermediate. And it'll start building. So as you can see, you don't need to be an English teacher to use this. This is for anybody who teaches a topic. And there's also some vocabulary exercises. There's writing exercises. Again, pull a YouTube video and it will give you some discussion questions. It's fantastic. And I think you guys will really, really enjoy it. The last one I'm going to talk to you about, which I've seen in the chat, is Magic School. Now, I don't know as much about it as Patrick does. I saw that Patrick is a pioneer, but I will just show you what it looks like. And if Patrick wants to tell you a little bit more, because I'm going to pass this back to him, he can talk a little bit more about you. I just want you to see it, because after you've seen all of these, I think you're going to get a good appreciation of what's going on here with Magic School. So Magic School kind of touts themselves as a one-stop shop. It's for every teacher, every educator. You shouldn't have to go anywhere else if you use Magic School. Now, it is something, I think Patrick said it might be starting to be, someone said it might start being paid. But if you can able to enjoy it, a free trial, you can at least see if it's something that you want to invest in, because it does have a lot of schools, a lot of tools. So if I go real quick, let me go back here and just show you. Look right here. These are all the AI-driven tools that are already in Magic School. You can make a song generator. So all those things I just showed you, it's even more specific. They have a rubric generator. It's very, very specialized. IP help, lesson plans. Here's Raina, their chat bot, which really helps with. I even said, this is one of my histories. I said, Raina, how would you get started with on how the moon affects the tides? And really, she plugged in an intro, activities, and extensions. So it was really good. And I'm sure Patrick can talk a little bit more about this, but they also have some PD right here for you to get to join in, and they're free, and it'll help you become a little bit more comfortable with it, because as you can see, there are a ton of tools here at your disposal that are AI geared. So that's me. I'm going to pass it back off to Patrick.
Patrick, you're muted.
It moved my tools again. Gotta love it. Anyway, even if you work in tech every day. But on Magic School, before I jump into some of the stuff here, and I know we're slightly over, but I will wrap up quick. Magic School is going to having a paid tier, but they are committed to it, have said that they're going to keep the vast majority of things free. You're just going to maybe be limited on storage. Some of the newest things will go to people that pay, things like that. They are going to have discounted things if your entire district wants to go on. So there are some things you can get into there. And one thing that I will say about Magic School is it can be overwhelming because there's so many things in it. Take advantage of those star icons when you get in and start to play with it. So you can get your favorites and then they'll jump up to the top. You can still use everything, but that can help it be just a little bit less overwhelming. But I wanted to wrap us up here because it's really important, and Karen noted some of the things in the chat too, that as we talk about AI, and we're embracing it obviously in this call, as far as you definitely want to use it. It can save you tons of time, but you also want to really think about things as you use it. Think about where your acceptable use policy is, or things like that, to know, are you able to use it, or show students how to do it? What policies exist? Does your district not have a policy? Are you able to use it and not have anything negative happen? Things like that. Make sure you're in a good spot before you share it widely. Get some guidance there. Then as you use it and as you get some of that information back, we know those data sets, they're all programmed by, they're all assembled by, it's directioned by people. And even the best of us have bias of some sort. So all of these data sets, all of these tools are going to have some bias. Some is worse than others. Some have really worked hard to weed it out as best they can. But think about that as you go through. Look for those instances where bias might come up. Maybe you ask it about different highest paid occupations, and you notice as you read down through it that it talks about doctors, things like that, but it always says he. That data set is programmed in a way that it sees most doctors as men. If you put nurse in it, might swing it more towards talking about women. And we all know men or women, doesn't matter. Everybody can be an amazing doctor. So just think about those. And then also think about false information. Things are getting better, but sometimes I know when I've asked ChatGPT for different things, it's given me great suggestions. I say, can you give me a resource to a tutorial for that? And the link doesn't actually go anywhere. Or in some cases I've seen where ChatGPT, people have asked it to make them a resume or something, and the one person did it, and it said they were a professional wrestler, but they had died 5 years ago. They were both alive and had never wrestled professionally. So you have to look up some of the things. You have to double check that information literacy, that media literacy is super important. Just because it says it, you know it's sourcing lots of things, doesn't mean it's sourcing the right things. And then last but not least, in the era of cheating, and that's where a lot of educators' minds went instantly when all these things became prevalent. Well, now they don't have to do anything. They're just going to throw it into AI and it's going to do it for it. And I can remember when Google and internet and things kind of burst out, is they're just going to Google all the answers. We made it through that. We've come out of that side as far as doing better, greater things with education. I think AI is going to push that too. But you have to think about what level of AI use is actually cheating. What level of AI use is a smart use of a tool to work smarter, not harder. And if you're thinking about students using it and cheating, is it cheating on the teacher's side to make their job a lot easier but still get paid the same amount? I would say no, because we all know teachers are not paid enough at all anyway. I would say, if nothing else, also detectors are not a good thing to use at this point. They are getting better. One of the latest data things I saw on Turnitin's version is that they're getting close to about 70% accuracy, which is one of the highest ones I've seen in all of the different tools. But still, a 70% likelihood of being right, good enough for you to accuse a student of cheating. Unless it's 100%, it's nothing but a conversation starter for me. And that's what I tell our teachers, that those detectors are things you can use. Not saying absolutely don't use it, but only use it as a starting point to ask the student something like, what process did you use to come up with that? What sources did you pull together and how did you synthesize that data to come to that conclusion you made? And on the slides here, this is a guide that I put together for our teachers, and I'll try and zoom in on it a little bit. But it doesn't mention detectors. It's really meant to just be a really quick guide, and you'll get a link to this. But it is meant to be, what are some things you can do as far as, does it lack a lot of personalized student voice? Can you sense the student actually wrote it? Is the formatting, the structure kind of funky? And then page 2 gives you some proactive ways. For instance, have you talked to, because I saw we had a lot of our coaches on here, have you asked your teachers or talked to them about having some sort of a statement in their syllabus? Do they mention anywhere about the level that AI should be used or could be used on projects? Because if we make believe that it doesn't exist, we're saying that it can be used for anything and everything. And I think it can help students. I've had to caution a couple middle school students that were too young to be using the tool I saw pop up, but I was also kind of happy they were doing that, not playing a game. So I'll take my wins where I can get them, but there are a number of different things linked in here for you, and I don't want to go over anymore, but just those slight cautions of thinking as you use these tools, think about these things in the back of your mind, and as you're learning them, as you're using them, think about ways that you can help the students get to higher levels of learning, with them maybe dipping into using some as well.
Thanks so much, Patrick. That's really interesting. And I didn't know that about AI detector. So if you wouldn't mind, since you're sharing, going to the last slide, since it has the QR code. So I'm dropping the link to this in the slide deck is in the chat. This QR code will take you there, and I will also send it out to you via email. So if you don't catch it here right now, again, it will be in your email. A big thanks for hanging out and spending some time this afternoon with us. Your presence and your interests made it a really great experience for us. And thank you for all your questions and comments. I definitely learned about some great tools. I hope that you did too. And again, you have the link to the slide deck. I saw that there are some more, and Karen said Visti is doing one tomorrow. So if you're interested in that too, that's definitely something you could Google and register for that as well. So thank you so much. If you have any other questions, I think the three of us can hang back for a few minutes, but otherwise, have a great rest of your week, and thank you.